Now,
Plastic knife.
first and foremost, did anybody hear a rebuttal other than they just picked them names up out the Bible and gave it to certain lands? That was the only rebuttal he did to me bringing up the place names, the Hebrew names versus the Gadangbe and Igbo names. And brother, I mentioned the Gadangbe and I had the information on the Hebrew right here, but let me deal with this Igbo thing real quick, right? And with the information I brought out was in reference to the Igbo and the Gadambi, because I said before, you always argue the Igbo as if they're the only one. So, if you can see my screen again, family, click on my avatar, and you should be able to see my screen. Make sure I'm sharing. I'm presenting. Okay, here we go. Let's present. Now the Igbo Hebrews. Let me, because he put out them traditions and all that, right? He pulled out the things they like to do and their customs and this and that and the third. Well, let me shit a little. Let me give you a little more. As I said, brother, his only rebuttal, as anybody heard, was, man, they got them. They took them names and out the Bible and just placed them there after some type of conversion or whatever. But as I read, family, this information is from who? As y'all can see, Rabbi Yehuda Akukwo ben Shemaiah. This is an Igbo priest and Israelite. Now let's see, because I get it from their mouth. Let's see. As I said earlier, family, when missionaries came to Nigeria to evangelize, they were dumbfounded to discover that the Igbo people practiced many Hebraic Jewish customs which they could have not learned from anyone else. It had to come from ancient practices of their people from antiquity, for they had no Bibles and met no one with the Bible until the missionaries came along. And if Garfield, you remember my brother, the Igbo brother, came on Kalam's show when you were spewing your nonsense about the Igbo, talking about how they been there, they got this certain pottery. He told you that was trash. He told you that out of his own mouth, brother. So stuff the nonsense. Now let's deal with some customs. They found that the Igbos practice, because he showed some armadillos or whatever type of rat creatures he was showing, right? You have to understand, there's different sects of Igbos. He won't tell you that either. What I mean, there's different sects of Igbos. There's Igbos who believe different things because of certain heritage rights or land rights. You get what I'm saying? And he knows all about this war. He knows what I'm going into, but that's a whole nother story. But let's just deal with what he brought up. Eating of animals that meet the biblically clean requirements, as well as the complete draining of blood from animals, as well as other laws concerning kosher animals. Now, what did he brought up? Is that considered clean or unclean by the Most High? Unclean. So let's get that. 2. Has a concept of clean and unclean, acceptable and abnormal and taboo. Animal sacrifice unto the Levitical priesthood sacrificial system. Belief in the supreme, all-powerful, Chukwu, above all other deities. Circumcision on the 8th day, as well as had the naming ceremony of the 8th day old child. So what is he talking about? Giving names that bear the name or title of God within it. Separation of menstruating women, like we did. Keeping of the lunar calendar, yes. Shemitah and Jubilee year, the annulment of debt and servitude every 7 and 50 years. Burying their dead facing the east, the direction of Jerusalem and Promised Land. Sitting Shiva, 7-day mourning period where one sits on low stools, remain unkempt and shave their head in grief. Belief in resurrection. Sending of the bodies home of Igbos who died outside Igbo land to be buried, like Joseph and Jacob desired not to be buried in a pagan or foreign land. Hospitality like unto the traditions and legends known of Abraham offering ward and meal and lodging to travelers. Levirate type marriages, brothers marrying deceased brothers' wives to carry on the brother's name. Is it time? And then one more. A type of city of refuge where an Igbo who has committed a crime can seek refuge in his mother's natal home, known as Igbo or Akuum. And to the brother Perry, to the fact that the brother Perry brought out, the Native Americans done this as well. Shunning of those who willingly break Igbo law. Laws against sexual perversion, incest, and the like. So basically everything you just said again. He did not go open the source. He quoted some stuff and then showed
All
us a
right,
bunch of names on the page.
Thank you, my brother.
That's what
Thank
the
you,
brother
thank
did.
you,
He
thank
didn't
you,
quote
thank you,
out of
thank you.
Damn.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm
Well, you
quoting
went
from
in, Yah'Shua. You went in, bro.
Yeah, and he said the same thing I said, but he went in. All right, here we go. Hold on,
Ready?
let me share my screen. Hold on 1 second here.
I think you should let the brothers know when they got like 10 seconds left or something.
Yeah, I be trying to share the screen so they see that, but yeah, I do that.
You know, it's funny. Are we playing the game that your source is better than my source? He posts as a guy who is a rabbi. So a rabbi who says that he's Hebrew is an excellent source. Does that make any sense? You have to go to the indigenous people that live there. Now, he said to me that an Igbo brother called in and said that on Kalam show that I was talking foolishness. Now, you see, we have to go to the origins here. Let's look at this later. Yeah, go ahead, my brother. Now, the problem is this. There's something called the Oriental hypothesis. The Oriental hypothesis basically claims that the people who are from Igbo are either from two places. Look at the book, A Handbook of African Religion and Culture by Professor Odabata or Ononwa. All right. Some Igbo writers have since then followed Dr. George Basden. And I want everybody to Google this cracker, because this is the cracker that you guys are following and saying that the guy is, what do you call it? Let me just Google him on my time slot. George Basden. This is the guy that made up the whole theory and said that. Let's take a look at his images. This is the cracker who you guys, I want to show a picture of him while they're showing the Igbo people here. Let me see if I can find a picture of him real quickly. All right, I'll get to that in a minute. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do this. One has to observe some of the undisputed similarities in some Jewish practices and those of the Igbos are stated in support of their claims. One has to observe, however, that some of the examples given appear too far-fetched. This account of the origin of the Igbo is immediately knocked out by archaeological evidence that Igbos have been in their present settlement from well over 3000 BC. Hold up. So Garfield was talking crap, right? But who is this from? Igbo people, their origin and culture, right? Now look at this. Traditional priests, by the way, which is very important.
Can you repeat that last paragraph, Garfield, brother, if you don't mind?
Okay. One has to, some of the undisputed similarities. Hold on. Some Igbo writers have since then followed him and written in the same vein, saying that the Igbos are of Jewish origin. Right? This is the guy above here. Let me just quote and be fair here. Now, some of the undisputed similarities in some Jewish practice and those of the Igbos are stated in support of their claims. One has to observe, however, that some of the examples given appear too far-fetched. This account of the origin of the Igbo is immediately knocked out by the archaeological evidence that Igbos have been in their present settlement from well over 3000 BC. So whoever called Kalamsho is not an archaeologist. It's called the Ensuka find. Look it up yourself. Don't take my word. So by 2012, when the documentary was made, the Oriental hypothesis that Igbo culture and our people is derived from Israel or Egypt had been abandoned by the very people that promoted it in the first place. Now look at these names that promoted it. Basden, Jeffries, Palmer, Matthews, Meek, etc. Are those Nigerian names? But guess who's following them? Your brother who is challenging me. He's following a theory that they came up with. It had been dismissed by serious indigenous and non-indigenous academics. Look at these names. Afigbo, Ishi, Omirajogo, Emwefulu, Onunwa, the people from the land, the indigenous people, and had never been taken seriously by traditional priests who are called the Ume in the first place. You will not find arguments for the Oriental hypothesis in any recent academic journal. Did you hear what I just said? You won't find no argument for this in any recent academic journal, any recent dissertation or thesis, or any books written by traditional Igbo priests or practitioners. Should I even continue this, man? It's a waste of time. The Igbos are not Jews. They're not Israelites. No scholar supports it. Not even the crackers that made it up. They are not Israelites. All the things that he said about the food and all that stuff, it's far-fetched. It's from that guy's opinion. It is not truth. So all these people now are trying to get out. He talked about the 8th day when they were circumcised. Yes, some people are circumcised after 8 days, but not everybody. It's not tradition to say 8 days they're circumcised and whatever. Come on, man. We got to start thinking for ourselves and start letting these people come in our cultures and try to reorient us into a mindset that they want us to do. The Jews used to send these people out, the Rothschild family, courtesy the guy who's called the father of Ethiopia. That Jew, that worked for the Rothschild family, he used to go out and try to search for people to say that they're Jewish, to attach them to the white Jews. I got to get an extra 30 seconds because he asked me a question. But you know what? Let me leave it alone. But the bottom line to what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, none of what he's saying is from any indigenous researcher or priest who is an indigenous to the land. He's talking about somebody saying they are a rabbi. There were no rabbis in Igbo land. That's something new to them. So these people today are claiming it for a purpose. You go back to the Biafra War, you go back to the Oriental Hypothesis, go back to Basden, the cracker who invented it. Don't come at me, go at the cracker who invented it. I'll stop right there. Let me just say daggers